afternoon and good morning to all of you who are joining this webinar from Indonesia and the UK. Welcome to UK-Indonesia English Partnership Series. Today is the second day of a three-day event organized by the British Council Indonesia and the UK Department for International Trade, DIT, as part of drive to support new UK-ID ELT partnerships. We have an amazing lineup of speakers in this three-day event to share their expertise and experience between the UK and Indonesian education institutions, government agency, ELT and EdTech companies. I'm Francis Inanu, and I'm a board member of ITEL, Indonesia Technology Enhanced Language Learning. ITEL is helping the British Council to organize this event. I'm also teaching at the English Language Education Department at Universitas Kristen Satyawacana. I'll be your moderator for today's and tomorrow's sessions. If you just joined us today and you missed the first day of the series yesterday, you can go to the British Council Indonesia YouTube channel to watch the recording of yesterday's session. Yesterday was the official launch of UK-ID Digital Innovation Grants to support teacher professional development in schools and higher education institutions. You can click the link on the chat. I'm sure Mbak Maria is giving you the link to all the YouTube channel, YouTube links, videos to watch the series on YouTube. We are now live on YouTube and we have about almost 190 participants joining us on Zoom here. So welcome again and thank you for joining us. Today's session takes the theme of sharing innovation in English language teacher professional development. We have two sessions to cover today's theme. The first one will be for schools and the second one focuses on higher education level. The last session of today will be a Q&A session about the UK-ID Digital Innovation Grants that was launched yesterday. So if you happen to ask a question in yesterday's session, you may want to resubmit your question here for column to address later in session 3. Okay, I'm seeing people are greeting from Banten, from Cianjur, hello from Yogyakarta. I believe everyone is keen to start listening to our great speakers today. But before we begin, allow me to remind you that this webinar is recorded and is also being broadcasted live on YouTube. And if you have colleagues who cannot join the Zoom webinar, they can always go to the YouTube channel and watch it there. And also, if you have questions to ask, please address your questions in the Q&A box on Zoom. And if you join via YouTube, you can also ask your question in the chat box on YouTube. So ladies and gentlemen, let's begin the first session today. Session 1 is on English teacher professional development in schools, digital innovation in professional development for pre-service and in-service English teacher. We have a big number of panelists for this session, as you can see in the poster. Our first two speakers are going to set the scene for the rest of the session. We are very lucky to have the first speaker, Ibu Ica Khadijah. She has been supporting teacher professional development in Indonesia, both in the formal and informal sectors. And she's currently working with the Ministry of Education in developing the pre-service and in-service English teacher training programs, or what we call in Bahasa Indonesia, the PPG. Ibu Ica, I'll give you 10 minutes to share what you have to present today. Over to you, Ibu Ica.
Thank you very much, Francis. So I have to speak in 10 minutes now. It's so challenging. May I share my screen? So where is my screen? Wait. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I've been introduced by Francis, and now I jump into the presentation to set the whole scene for the event today. Yeah, we are looking at English teachers in Indonesia. Where are they, and how they do the teacher development? Where are our Indonesian English teachers? because my task now is dealing with schools. So now I'm looking at where are our English teachers. Mainly our English teachers are in these 4 places. Yes, state schools and mainstream private schools, wealthier private schools, primary state schools, and in some state and mainstream private schools where teachers teach the peminatan program. Now let's talk about the teachers who are in state schools and mainstream private schools. Yeah, English in state schools and mainstream private schools are only taught in lower to upper secondary school. And number of hours is following the regulation, 90 minutes per week in upper secondary and 2 times of 80 minutes in per week in lower secondary. The curriculum is mainly the government curriculum using genre-based or text-based. Professional development for teachers, mainly through MGMP. MGMP is in-service professional development for subject matter teachers. So this is, I call it teachers learning community. And self-initiated professional development activities. They join seminars, webinars done by ITEL, by any other organizations. And then group number 2, English teachers are in wealthier private schools. And here, mainstream private schools, in a wealthier private schools, they teach English from primary to upper secondary. And number of hours just really depend on the policy of the schools. It can be every day within 5 days in the week. They have 80 minutes per day or 90 minutes per day, just depending on the decision of the school. Curriculum is decided by each school. Usually, they use national curriculum plus school curricula, or they use IB curriculum or Cambridge curriculum and any other curriculum that they think is suitable for their students. And in this school, teachers are well selected. They usually recruited based on their competence, especially their English competence. And in some schools, they have English native speakers. Professional development is usually well managed by the school, and it's usually structured and continuous. Now, the teaching of English in primary state school, because there is no regulation that mandated the teaching of English in primary school, then the teaching of English in primary school just really depend on the school decision or the local government decision. And usually it's 70 minutes per week, and teachers are not always recruited to teach English. Sometimes they are the homeroom classroom teacher, and then just give the responsibility to teach English. So it's not nationally practiced. Professional development activities so far based on the teachers initiative or the teachers learning community or KKG initiative. Now, what about additional information? At school levels, the number of English teachers in lower secondary, upper secondary, and vocational high school is more than 100,000. And so far, there has not been standard level of English teachers proficiency. So when they are recruited, they are not assessed by the government on their level of English. And therefore, professional development is more or less, I could say, challenging. Now, talking about professional development, where and how do professional development activities are carried out so far. So professional development so far are carried out for the practicing teacher. For practicing teacher, the medium or the professional development activity is done through the MGMP. What is MGMP? Subject matter teachers community. This one is mandated by the government. So in each school, there has to be MGMP, and each sub-district, in each district, municipality, and in cities, there has to be this learning community of subject matter teachers for lower and secondary and vocational high school teachers. This is mandatory. So this is the chance actually for us to help teachers to do the professional development. And then another one which is also mandated is the PPG, Professional Teacher Education, Pendidikan Profesional Guru, for the practicing teacher. Well, actually, in a broader terms, we call it in-service training, yeah. But for some reasons in Indonesia, they call it professional teacher education. And this has to be followed by all Indonesian practicing teachers who are not certified yet. So the main purpose of this in-service training or PPG dalam jabatan is actually to get the teachers certified. And it is conducted by universities, and since March 2020, it's totally online, and they are adapting the curriculum and the module and the practice. Curriculum is centralized, developed by the Ministry of Education, Higher Education, and then the duration is 58 days, including individual learning. So 58 days online and offline. It is mandated by national regulation that all teachers should pass this PPG program in order to be certified. Again, I would like to add that certified doesn't mean always qualified or more qualified. And then these two, the MGMP and PPG, are for the practicing teachers, and then the PPG Prajabatan. Prajabatan is before, so this is included in the pre-service. Now it is mandated for those who are graduated from the BAD degree, whether from teacher college or any other universities. And the duration is 2 semesters, and this is now being transformed, the government is developing the new model of this PPG Prajabatan. Curriculum is centralized and now is being transformed into hybrid learning. Before it was offline, face-to-face, and that's why it's challenging for teachers who are in remote areas. And then another area for professional development, of course, is done by many agencies, private agencies, private organizations who provide professional development activities. And it is usually based on the individual or school initiative. Now, what can be improved in the future? MGMP, when national exams still exist, usually their activities focus more on developing test items, developing materials to help the students pass the exam, etc. But I think now they have to change the direction because national exam has been stopped since last year. and make the MGMP become a real professional learning communities for English teachers, because this is mandatory. It is based on regulation. And then the second one, in PPG dalam jabatan, the in-service should prioritize more on improving teachers' English competencies and adapting their modules in pedagogical content knowledge and the use of technology. Because I think we all know how technology can scale up quality and quantity. And then for the PPG Prajabatan, the pre-service, they have to design their module to suit the needs, the new innovation by the government, the Merdeka Belajar, the curriculum Merdeka. So here, this is the moment where when the government is doing a lot of redesigning, transforming the model of this PPG. And I think for these two, again, I repeated that these two, even though it is initiated by the government, by the Ministry of Education, these two are done in universities. And my suggestion, there has to be, they have to provide micro-learning modules, which I'm sure universities needs lots of efforts and ideas for their micro-learning modules. And then they also need to provide English self-assessment for all teachers. And the last one is improving their learning management system. And I think this is how we can improve the quality of professional development. Thank you so much. Back to Francis.
Thank you so much, Iwija. I know it's impossible to make all what you presented in 10 minutes, but thank you so much for your time and for sharing that to set the scene for the context in Indonesia. Thank you so much, Ibu Icha. And now we're going to move to see how is the context in the UK. And allow me to introduce the next speaker, Mark Hannabury. Mark is the UK Government Sector Specialist ELT from the Department for International Trade. So similar to Ibu Icha, Mark will have 10 minutes to present his talk before we go on to the panel of UK ELT providers later in this session. Is Mark here? Hi, Mark. Hello.
I am.
Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. Hello. Pleasure to be with you. Thank you, Francis, for the introduction. I'm just attempting to share my screen with you all at the moment, but not having a lot of success this morning. I'm not sure if perhaps you could do it from your end.
Okay, so
I'll just
do you want us to share your screen or your slide?
If you could,
Okay.
if you have it ready, please.
All right, let me check.
If not, don't worry too much, because I don't want to take up too much time from all of the presentations that are going on today. Firstly, just like to say thank you all very much for inviting me along today to give me an opportunity to explain a bit about the UK ELT sector to you. You've got an absolutely fantastic session lined up today. Brilliant speakers. You're going to enjoy it a lot. I encourage you to listen, ask questions, and engage with the participants after the event as well. So I don't think we were able to get my presentation. It's not a problem. What I wanted to give you an overview of was what the UK ELT sector looked like. So and why the UK is such a good partner for working with together on ELT. And it really comes down to 5 essential pillars. The UK has always been the #1 destination for people to come to learn English traditionally. Now, because of that, you've got a whole industry that's set up around it. You've got experienced schools that develop their own specialisms and their own courses to target different types of students, whether that be junior students, whether that be professional students, whether that be students wanting to learn English for a specific purpose, whatever it might be. You've got this industry that's grown up around that. Now, to support that industry, obviously, you've got teachers that have got themselves very well qualified to get the best jobs within that industry. You'd look at continuous professional development for your teachers that's embedded into the system. Oh, wonderful. My presentation is there. So it's looking at teachers are never standing still. They're always developing their expertise and their techniques and the whatever they're using in the classroom, their approaches to teaching. This is never sitting still. And of course, that goes around that is all of the research and literature that supports the industry, all of the teacher training, all of the research into how students learn languages, all of the great work that universities, schools and colleges are doing around the UK in this area. And then we've got very robust quality assurance in the UK. So in terms of regulating what the schools are doing, and that could be down to what the teacher's doing in the classroom, so having the teacher observed and seeing how they approach their lessons and what elements they bring into their lessons. It could be to do with the management structure, the resources, the library, and the care of students within the institution as well. So all of these things are really robustly inspected and analysed as well. And what that does is that also develops a system of competition within the schools. So they're always competing against schools in the same area. So again, they're really focusing on driving their inspection reports, driving their quality assurance, developing their teachers, and adaptability is the last pillar. And that's really been key over the past couple of years in terms of how our schools, how our colleges have managed to survive the COVID crisis. And it's been really tough. We're a sector that would usually be heavily reliant on students coming to the UK. Of course, we work with countries around the world and institutions around the world and partners. But this adaptability, this has been key to the survival of institutions in the UK, and something that's going forward as well, and we're going to take with us. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So we often think of English language teaching as being the bit in the middle, the rectangle boxes in the middle, the actual institutions that do the teaching, whether it's language schools, universities, colleges, and they've all got slightly different angles in terms of what they would focus on. So colleges might focus on more vocational English training, for example, whereas universities, HE institutions, it may be more academic English training, for example, and language schools, independent schools, they would have different areas of focus as well to cater for different students, as I mentioned. But of course, that's not the sector. The sector's much wider than that, and the bit around the outside in the red ovals, that's actually a larger part of what the ELT sector is in the UK. It is publishing, it is qualifications and tests, it is quality assurance, as I mentioned. Teacher training, of course, massive industry that's grown up around supporting our own teachers in the UK and teachers internationally. The education technology as well. So all of these things, this is what the UK ELT sector likes, and it's a big sector in the UK. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So it's a sector that's evolving. It's always had a strong online element to it, particularly whether it's training, testing students, whether it's training and testing teachers. all around the world. But this is something, of course, that over the past couple of years, schools, institutions have moved more into, and it's shaping the offer of the future for the ELT sector. There's different models, as you know, of online delivery, whether it's purely online, whether it's blended, hybrid, so you've got a live class, but you've also got students joining remotely. All of these things are now being utilised by schools, making it a prime feature of the offer going forward. They're fully open. All the schools are open in the UK. We're gradually welcoming students back. The sector's getting started again. Very difficult time, but of course, this safety and security and safeguarding of students in the UK, that's always been a priority, and that's again a strength when you're looking at encouraging students to come back and giving the students the confidence to come back to the UK after this global pandemic that we've all been through. And there's a big marketing campaign, which is English with Confidence hashtag. So I'd encourage you all to look out for that hashtag on social media to get the latest information about the UK ELT sector. And if we could just move to the next slide, please. So this is the key. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about partnerships with Indonesia, when we're talking about the Digital Innovation Fund that the British Council announced yesterday. We're looking at innovation. We're looking at ways of working together. And the UK ELT sector has always been very resilient and very innovative in terms of what we're doing, how we're doing it, and how we're approaching challenges, whether those challenges are teaching in remote areas, whether those challenges are delivering blended classes with different types of students and differentiating the sort of work that we're doing, whether it's fully online classes, whatever it might be, using mobile technology, using technology such as radio and all of these things to help students and make English accessible. English isn't something that the UK owns. This is a global language, and we just happen to be extremely good and have the right experience and the right expertise to teach and to help others to teach it. It's the teachers that you've got in Indonesia are doing an absolutely fantastic job, and you can look to us for support in whatever areas that you might need. And the final slide, please. Enjoy today. As I say, you've got some absolutely fantastic speakers. It's going to be a really worthwhile event for you to be joining today. We've just learned a bit about the context in Indonesia, which I found really interesting. I'd love to learn more about that, but I encourage you to ask questions, follow up with these speakers, with these institutions as well that are in the catalogue, learn more about what's going on. If you're looking for partners in the UK for your institution, there's a couple of QR codes. You can get your phone out, scan those in, and you can find me on LinkedIn or whatever it might be. And I'll help you to do that and to find partners in the UK. So have a fantastic day. Lovely to present to you, and I'll hand you back to Francis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mark. Perfect timing. Ladies and gentlemen, Ibu Isha and Mark Hannibal have set the scene of how the teachers' professional development is being done in Indonesia and in the UK. And now we're going to go to the panel of a selection of leading ELT companies that will share their experience in remote teacher professional development, adapting both the high and low tech tools and approaches. So please welcome the first speaker. We have Silvana Richardson. Silvana is the head of education of Bell, one of the leading language schools in the UK. Silvana, over to you.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. I'll be talking about digital innovations particularly in online professional development for English language teachers. This is good morning from me, from the beautiful city of Cambridge, where our headquarters is located. And I am the head of education, and I'm based in this amazing and magnificent schools that Indonesian state school teachers visited a few years ago when we supported their learning, helping them to develop their language expertise and then to complete their CELTA course of teacher training. what is BEL and who is BEL? Well, we have 65 years of teaching expertise and of expertise in helping teachers become even better in terms of their expertise. And we have been at the forefront of online English language teacher education. We have been among the pioneers in the sector in English language teaching, in developing, designing and implementing online courses. So we've been offering online provision for teachers for over 12 years now. And our provision, which I think a few organizations can say this, has been nominated and won prestigious industry awards for their innovation. I think another important feature of our designs is that they're evidence informed. We look very carefully at what research has to say about what works in promoting effective and impactful teacher learning. So this morning, I wanted to talk to you about 3 innovative designs. One is what we called micro courses. Another one is an online follow-up course that we did following a blended learning course. And a third one is our online course for remote and rural areas. So a lot to say in a very little time. So let's hit the ground running. Micro courses. So why have we designed short micro courses? Well, we know that teachers are extremely busy, and of course this impacts on the time that they have for professional development. In fact, a 2018 survey reported from teachers in over 150 countries reported that 46 of the participants in that survey believed that they did not have or spend sufficient time on their continuing professional development. So this is a real problem. So the micro courses that we have designed work around teachers' busy lives. So what we achieved was a compact, just-in-time design. In other words, bite-sized content that enabled teachers to learn exactly what it is that they need to learn, avoiding that kind of information overload that a lot of the time lots of courses the teachers have. But more importantly, you know, there are teachers who go from one school to the next and travel on the bus and on the train, and they take advantage of those 20 minutes they have or half an hour they have on the bus to learn on their mobile phone. So these courses allow them to access the materials anytime, anywhere, and learn at a time and pace that suits their busy lives. So let me show you very briefly how we have designed these courses. So they're in 3 units. Unit 1 is asynchronous offline input. Unit 2 is an hour of a synchronous live webinar, and Unit 3 is an asynchronous, again, offline application task. Let me show you a little bit more detail. So if you like, this is an online sandwich. So we've got online, live, online. So, well, live online, it's all online actually. So Unit 1, basically, it's all about participants getting to know one another, completing interactive online tasks and activities to help them process the new information. But more importantly, they're tutor-led. A lot of online learning is not, tutor-led at all. There's a lot of do this activity and get automated feedback. We don't want that. We want our participants to have the support and the human interaction with a tutor who's experienced and expert, guiding and supporting them along the way. The second unit, as I said, is an opportunity for a live webinar for participants to interact and learn with tutors and other participants. And Unit 3 is an application task. This is an opportunity, a very practical opportunity for participants to apply what they have learned in the previous units. And this is such an important feature of impactful teacher education. A lot of teacher education courses teach teachers stuff and they end there. All the research tells us that what matters is to support teachers through the difficulties of implementation. And I hope the following example shows this. So this is a course that we have designed, and it was commissioned by the Ministry of Education in Chile. It was a train the trainer program and a blended program. So participants spent 4 weeks working face-to-face in the UK, and then we supported them through a 3-month online follow-up when they went back to Chile. The important thing was that participants were from state schools all over Chile. So they were in cities, but they were also working in remote areas. And the important thing was to make sure that we created a community that kept going when they went back, and they went back to their own settings. And this online follow-up provided the peer support and the tutor support through the difficulties of implementing what they have learned. We held their hands, we allowed them to interact, and we provided more ideas, more guidance, and more feedback. So what was the impact of this follow-up at of the whole course, actually? We evaluated relevant situated language skills, so not any general English evaluation, but it was about how did they use English in the specific contexts of their work. And have a look here. I'm not going to read this. Have a look here at how they made progress from the beginning of the course till the end of the course. But more importantly, the tutors visited the participants in their own settings 3 months after the course finished and observed how the participants transferred what they had learned to their practice and the impact it had on the learning of their learners. More importantly as well, they gave participants feedback on the progress that they've made and the opportunities for further development that they could. And they reported, of course, to the Ministry of Education. This is an example, that there is no time, but just to show you how we assessed their progress, not just in methodology, but also in language. These are very specific skills and that they were totally relevant to the work that they were doing. And my final example, online courses for remote and rural areas. This is a project that we finished at the first quarter of this year, which what we call the Prelim project, the Partnered Remote Language Improvement project. And we were partnered with an association in Brazil, Brastisel, and a specific special interest group there. And the aim of this online program that we designed together with this teaching association was to increase participants' confidence in English for teaching. A lot of these teachers were teaching through Portuguese, and they were trying to teach English, and they had very little confidence in their ability to teach in English. And the participants were from state schools all over Brazil, working sometimes in very low resource, rural and remote areas, including the Amazon. They were teaching very large classes and very long hours. And of course, internet connectivity was very patchy, especially in rural areas. So how did we respond? So we worked with our partner association together, and we designed a course for low resource settings. I hope this graph shows you what I mean by this. When you've got low and patchy internet connectivity, you cannot afford to include long live webinars like we're doing right now. But we wanted to include an element of recorded video, with tutors demonstrating particular skills, but this needed to be short, and that's exactly what we did. Alongside that, we made sure that the design maximized time for participants to work in self-study worksheets that they were able to download with a little and limited connectivity that they had and work in their own time and at their own pace. But we also knew that these teachers used social media a lot and that they access social media through their cell phones. So the medium of interaction, socialization, and participation and learning was through chat on Telegram, which is similar to WhatsApp, but the medium of choice, and also through Facebook. I am told that the British Council will publish its impact report in the near future, but this is a quote, if you like, on the personal impact that this course had on one participant. I let you read it in silence. So I hope that gives you a sense of how we design and innovate and take into account the evidence base as we develop our courses. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Silvana, for sharing about what you've been doing with your school. And now we can move to our next speaker, Mike Riley. Mike is the Deputy Director of NILE, Norwich Institute for Language Education. Mike, 10 minutes. to you.
Hi everybody. Yes, my name's Mike. It's a great honour to be speaking to you today. I'm very excited to talk to you about Norwich Institute for Language Education, NILE, and we could speak all day about the lessons we've learned over the last 19 months, but I've only got 10 minutes, so I'll do my best to be quick. So first, I'll tell you a little bit about who we are. So we are teacher training specialists. We have a long track record. We were founded 26 years ago. I was obviously still a baby. And although we take great pride in the face-to-face courses that we run here in Norwich and in our partner schools in Malta and in Galway, since March last year, as for everybody, we've been doing everything online. Now, it wasn't a total shock to the system for us, as we've been offering online courses since 2014. So that helped us to move courses that we planned to deliver face-to-face to deliver them online. But the landscape was very different. And so we were faced with some interesting questions. Thinking about moving things online, can it be more than just an emergency temporary replacement for face-to-face courses? How are we going to provide training in places where infrastructure is a challenge? And is there a way of scaling this up and doing it on a large sort of national scale? And well, before I talk about those questions, I should just very quickly say that, you know, all of the success that we've managed to have is based on our great people. We work with a network of renowned teacher educators based all around the globe who are very willing to work online, and their broad range of expertise has allowed us to offer everything from sort of initial teacher training to our own master's course as well. And we've also benefited from working with other great people within the community. Of a particular benefit for us has been our association with Aqueduto, which is the Association for Quality Education and Training Online, which evaluates online teacher training courses. So we've learned lots from using that framework, and I think that's something we would recommend. And also, the other people who are invaluable to our success are our local partners. We've been lucky enough to work on projects in many countries around the world. The advantage, I think, of doing training online is that it allows us to reach many more places that we perhaps couldn't do face-to-face training in. And we've learnt lots from all of the people that we've been working with. But let's get back to those questions. So the first question was whether online courses are just emergency temporary replacements for face-to-face courses. I've got an example here of a course that's designed for pre-service trainee teachers from Switzerland, and usually every year they come to Norwich. They have face-to-face courses on language, on methodology, and they have a chance to look at the UK education system. We had to move that online. And in fact, that gave us the opportunity to be innovative and to make the most of that synchronous, asynchronous blend of online training. So we had live Zoom sessions with the trainees on language development, on using drama in the classroom, and that kind of replicates what we would do here face-to-face. But also using our asynchronous platform, they were able to watch video recordings from UK primary classrooms or secondary classrooms, and they could do that in their own time without all of the complicated arrangements being made with the local schools here. They could also work individually asynchronously, working on their own language development, and they can also collaborate asynchronously using lots of the tools that the internet offers, such as Padlets and Google Docs. And they even had a chance to have a live Q&A with a UK head teacher via Zoom. The second question that we had was, what about delivering training in places where resources and infrastructure can be a challenge? And we've learned that it can still be effective in those areas as well. We had the pleasure of working on a great project with the British Council, working with 24 teacher trainers from across Sub-Saharan Africa as part of the English Connects Trainer Award. And they came from 12 countries where connectivity and access to data can be a challenge, but it wasn't insurmountable. The suggestion from our partners was that we actually ran the first week of the course intensively, and the trainees were put in venues, local venues that had stable internet connections, and they attended the live Zoom sessions in meeting rooms there. And crucially, we created a WhatsApp group so that we could stay in touch with the participants and share documents if they lost their internet connection. And helpfully, our local partners also provided data packages for the teachers involved. And the great advantage of that WhatsApp group is it's still going on, and that it's now become kind of a community of practice. So with a bit of creativity and a bit of good planning, those resource restrictions can be overcome. And our third question about moving everything online was whether we could scale things up and implement things on a national scale. And we learned one way of doing this through our biggest project last year, which was the training of 5,000 primary school teachers from Tunisia. We learned two key lessons there. Firstly, the importance of local partners, and secondly, flexibility. It was a huge project with kind of more than 20 Zoom sessions happening at the same time, 4 times a day, and every week we had new teachers. Our partners, the local Ministry of Education, the British Council, were crucial. They preloaded tablets, and every weekend they would distribute them from one group of teachers to the next. And they also set up support via a Facebook group, and with hundreds of primary teachers every week. That was a really useful channel of communication. And we had a WhatsApp group for them as well. Another really interesting part of the project was we worked with local senior teachers who helped our trainers deliver the sessions. So it was really useful to have them there. They could solve problems in the local language if needed, but it was also a great developmental opportunity for them as well. The other lesson we learned in this big project was you have to be flexible. I remember at the start of one week, about 5 minutes before the first lesson, there was a global Zoom crash. Everything went down, but we managed, we just changed the timetable that day. My hair went grey at that moment, but yes, you do need the willingness and the ability to think on your feet. We're not new to online training. One thing we've learned by offering our courses over the last 7 years, this, as Silvana mentioned in her talk, it's really important to engage with the research and reflect on what is effective. We've also found it useful to innovate, so we're offering new courses. This is our latest course with Russell Stannard. We're offering courses for teachers who teach through English, so EMI and CLIL. And we're also looking at expanding through, we're part of Into. This is a picture of a regional center in Vietnam, and we will soon be offering face-to-face courses there as well. And we've also got a new partnership with Digital Learning Associates. So if you're a teacher and attending this, we've got some great videos you can use in the classroom just by going to our membership area, and you can download the lesson plans for those. So I said I would be quick, so I think my 10 minutes is up. The lessons we've learned, crucially, innovate, be flexible, take advantage of everything that online has to offer, and work with great partners. Thank you for your time, and I hope that I'll get to work with many of you as well.
Thank you, Mike. I can see in the chat box people are commenting. They are inspired by what have been presented so far. And I would like to ask participants to stay for the panel discussion after this with all the panelists. We're going to the next speaker now. We have Charlotte Thompson. She's the Director of Training of International House London. Charlotte, you also have 10 minutes. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. I've shared my screen with you. Can you see it?
Yes.
Lovely, marvelous. Okay, so hi everyone. The 10-minute clock is counting down. I'm literally putting the timer on. So I would like to talk to you a little bit today about some projects that we've been involved with recently, and share some things that we have learned. Just as Mike said, we have learned so much over the last 18 months from working in lockdown, but also from working globally with our partners in recent years. Okay, so I'm the Director of Training from International House London, and IH London is a charitable trust founded in the 1950s, and our long-term sort of belief has been the idea of promoting international understanding through language education. So whether that's being a teacher or learning a language, in that experience, you learn so much about different people and different cultures. Okay. So one of the first projects I'd like to talk to you about is a British Council initiative. And we were working in West Africa in teacher development and teacher trainer development. And I call this a high and low tech project. The British Council was partnering with ministries of education and teacher associations. And the teacher associations were really important to make things happen on the ground. We were involved with this project for 3 years. And it started face-to-face with teachers coming to London. And then it continued in country with teacher trainers. And the longer term objective of the project is we were supporting the teacher trainers in each country to devise and implement their own plans for CPD for the teachers that they were supervising and responsible for. So the teacher training, the trainer training that we were doing with these groups, they really wanted the live experience to replicate what we'd been able to do sort of face-to-face previously. So we opted for Zoom training. And our Zoom training was absolutely backed up with WhatsApp, and it became a very hybrid model. So in this kind of training session now, you're all logged on to your own personal devices from home. That happened in some countries, but in other places, the teachers were maybe able to gather in a local school or the Ministry of Education. So the group that we're working with are together. So as we run the training program and we're delivering live sessions like this, they have the opportunity to sit together, to work together, to share ideas and do exactly what you could do in a classroom with people. In other countries, it was completely 100% online. Some places we had a mix of those two models going on. So we called that hybrid training delivery mode. And then, of course, exactly as I said earlier, what happens halfway through your live Zoom sessions is sometimes the whole thing stops. So we were absolutely using our mobile phones, and through our setup groups, we could flip our training immediately into live action on WhatsApp. Now, we really never thought that you could do so much in WhatsApp, and we were so surprised at what we were able to do with these teachers through keeping the communication going in that way. Okay, so big part of the low-tech aspect of this training was really that mentoring of the teacher trainers on WhatsApp. And our teacher communities of practice also that were set up on WhatsApp. So we trained the trainers, and the trainers trained their teachers with the CPD that they devised in each of these countries. So what works in WhatsApp? Well, everything. The community of practice groups were really interesting. We first of all thought that little groups would be very supportive and very welcoming for teachers, and they would feel free and happy to share their ideas in a sort of protected environment. And that's true. But after a while, what happened is that sometimes those groups petered out. So we found that larger groups being managed by 2 or 3 mentors were much more sustainable and much more engaging. Each WhatsApp group had its own rules and monitors, and they moderated that themselves. Okay? We found very effective using kind of a very regular cycle of posting. Say, for example, on Saturday, you post your content. On Wednesday, you do a follow-up. On Thursday, by Thursday, everyone has commented on that topic. And then by Saturday, you start your topic again. So we practice with lots of different things. And we found that we could run and try and maintain the focus on pedagogic topics just in using that one single stream of WhatsApp, if we had some regular sort of rules and procedures. What was also very successful was for the trainers to share little clips from the classroom. So whenever they could share something that they were doing, some kind of success story, then that really, really kept the focus of the community of practice going in these groups. And for each group in each different country, they set their own agenda for how to measure the success of their WhatsApp group. And it really, really depends on what they were trying to achieve, what their focus was with that group. So it could be engagement of teachers or certain pedagogic principles that they were trying to communicate. And it could also be on how much the teachers valued that community that they were part of. So that's the sort of low-tech end of the training we've been doing recently. A little bit more high-tech maybe is a project that's ongoing at the moment in Vietnam. This is a partnership project, and the partnership projects are fantastic. We're working with university in Vietnam, HPU2, and the value of that for us as a partner is our partners know the country, they know the challenges, they know the teachers. So we're learning so much together and co-creating the project as we go along. And our objective in Vietnam was to engage teachers from remote areas. So remote area doesn't mean no internet in Vietnam. They've actually got very stable internet, either at home or in their local school. So they're able to follow a live and asynchronous project as well online. So the context in Vietnam is new course books, lots of great material. And the challenge for the teachers is how to adapt this great new material and the curriculum for their own students. So we're looking at differentiated learning in the classroom and teaching online. So our findings with these teachers. So they absolutely can follow in a week, maybe 2 hours of a live synchronous training session that's participatory, fairly participatory. If the teachers miss that, we can also then share after a much pared down version that can be shared on Google Classroom for them to watch later. So they've got 2 different sort of modes of input. Then the teachers are using Padlet because it's a lovely visual representation for their materials. And they're also very active in Zalo, and Zalo is just like WhatsApp. So we've got multiple different platforms and apps being used, and the teachers are developing their digital skills alongside experiencing online sort of teaching and learning. And this has really created a community. There's just 60 teachers. It's a relatively small number of teachers. But what we found in Vietnam is a very, very high level of participation and collaboration, because the kind of enthusiasm that the teachers have and the looking for digital solutions that's taking place now in that country has meant that the teachers have absolutely leapt in to this project. We were a little bit nervous or whether they would be willing to share their ideas so quickly, but we were really, really happy to see how quickly they did actually embrace digital online learning. And the high level of participation as well, we think, is because this project is asking the teachers to be creative. And we're asking them to attend a session and then create something that they can use in their very next lessons. So they were preparing for a September start, and they have created things, shared them, critiqued them, and learned from each other. And now September's come and they're in their classes and experimenting with them. So we'll be following on with this group of teachers to see how it works, to get feedback. And then later in the year, we'll be sharing what they've learned with other colleagues and other peers. So there are two projects that we've been part of, and I hope sharing what we've learned and what works in these two different contexts, the high tech and the much lower tech, is useful to people when they're planning their projects and what they're going to do in Indonesia now as part of this digital innovation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. It's been interesting that you can also share the low-tech part of this training and program that you have been doing. Now we're going to go to Fiona Dunlop, the principal at Wimbledon School of English, and she will share what she's been doing in terms of teachers' professional development there. Fiona, you have 10 minutes.
Hi everyone, and lovely to be here. Welcome to everyone joining in Indonesia. So I'm Fiona, I'm the principal at Wimbledon School of English in London. This is our school, if I can just try and move my slides on. Here we are. This is Wimbledon School of English. It's one of the oldest independent schools in the UK. I've been there for 20 years, so I'm still a baby there. And we've got a really strong core of excellent permanent teachers and trainers there. We're named as the joint #1 school in the UK, according to British Council inspection reports. So quality is high, and we've been doing teacher training there ever since I can remember. These are some of the courses that we currently offer, and we have been offering for several years. If I can just, excuse me, if I can just go back, I want to just focus on these courses here for a second. A lot of our courses are bespoke, so we are working, as the others also talked about, on very needs-driven courses, taking into account all of the participants and really individualising the experience. But what I would like to do, like the others before me, is outline one particular case study that we've had. The past 18 months for everyone has been very, very challenging, but we've learned a lot from it. And we've been teaching online and delivering training online for 3 to 4 years now. So when the pandemic came, it wasn't such a difficult shift to move everything online temporarily. And I'm happy to say that we're currently working face-to-face in school and online and hybrid. So lots of different opportunities for us all in the school. But to outline one particular case study that we've dealt with in the last 18 months, we were lucky enough to be involved in the prelim project, project with British Council, ELT and English UK. And we were working with Vietnam, and we were working remotely. And the course ran, excuse me, from November 2020 to March 2021, when we were working with primary and secondary teachers who taught a range of subjects. And we found, again, nothing surprising really worked, and we had excellent feedback from both aspects of the course. So the course was 2 hours of synchronous study, 1 evening per week for 6 weeks, in groups of between 12 to 17 participants. And I know that's quite a particular detail, but what we found was we started thinking that we could do a lot, and we wanted to offer a lot of synchronous provision, but we found that less is more, and it was important to really fit the timing in along with the busy teacher that Silvana mentioned. And hand in hand, we had 2 to 5 hours of asynchronous study, which was looking at very individualized blended projects with the guidance and feedback from the trainer. The content in this particular project was English language skills integrated with soft skills that we all more and more, and also teacher methodology running through all of the course. 3 different levels as well, so starting from A2 going up to C2, and the platforms there. And here we are. Here's a photo of our leaving ceremony with some of our lovely, lovely participants. It really, I mean, to be honest, and I'm sure everyone will agree, that the feedback and the feel-good factor that we all had in working in partnership with the particular teachers in Vietnam was amazing. So our approach and benefits at WSE, we talk with the trainees, so it's about them. The trainee is at the heart. It's all about communicating pre-course, making sure the information is clear, and really listening to their needs and what they don't need. The course content is by negotiations. It's being led by the trainees. We've got experience in training all types of teacher, unqualified, newly qualified, and experienced. And that relationship with our trainees, with our experienced teachers, it lasts longer than the course in all respects. Language and skills acquisition is not simply about learning facts. It's about building confidence and providing ongoing structured support for trainers trainees when they've been with us. We provide the tools to continue to develop autonomously. And I think, again, that is key, that anyone who's studying at any point in their lives, and I personally am very passionate about my own professional development, I must have the tools to be able to develop autonomously rather than only following a course and then stopping. And sorry, my slides keep moving. We provide, so our aim is for all of the trainees to complete a course feeling that their needs have been met and that they're confident. And again, this goes without saying, they should be more able to perform effectively in the classroom while providing an ongoing professional development plan. So leaving them with something to work with lifelong in their development rather than just the longevity of the course. And I think very importantly, professional development must be inclusive and available to all, regardless of remoteness, time, money. I think it must be able to be developed and offered in such a way that it's including every single teacher. And so the lessons that we learned from our Vietnamese project was, as I said, less is more. Not to try and fill in too much. So 1 evening per week of face-to-face that was really targeted, really structured, and led by the trainees. Clear aims established from the start of the project so that everybody has their expectations managed, and we know where we're aiming to get to. Ongoing testing, structured needs analysis to really make sure that there is no time wasted in content that is not needed for each particular individual and each particular group. Sustainability and trickle-down training so that the courses, the sessions, the workshops, the materials, the worksheets can all be used autonomously and shared in a structured way across the organisation. We learned that connectivity should not be taken for granted in remote areas, and obviously looking at the platforms that are used. Feedback systems as well, very, very important. How do we provide feedback? When do we provide feedback, and to who as well? A little thing that we just thought was the icing on the cake, and again, I'm sure this is common in most organisations, but we had the most delightful leaving ceremony, where we provided end of course certificates. And this really was a time for celebration in the middle of a pandemic, to get everyone together, to have a nice formal leaving ceremony online, and then to provide a funnel for follow-up sessions, individualized and focused with the participants. So these were the lessons that we learned from our Vietnamese project. We've had a lot more than just this in terms of working online, and I really do believe, as Mike said, that this is the future, that these things are here to stay. And I think English language organisations and the British Council, this is our strength. We do this so well, and certainly Wimbledon School of English, professional development for all runs through every single thing that we do. We were also working in the region. We worked in Laos previously, 3 or 4 years ago. We had our school in partnership in Laos, teaching kids, so not teacher training. And we also found that working remotely and managing a school and a team of staff was also a real learning experience and really rewarding for us. So there's more to managing projects than just the delivery. It's all the back end stuff as well that must be very strongly in place. So with that in mind, what our students say is the most important, and I just thought this quote was lovely. So the course benefits me so much. The virtual class is so well managed by experienced teachers, despite the intervention of COVID-19 and the far connection among us. I learned much more from the most useful and tactful skill from my beloved teacher. Lovely personal comments, and we had a bank of these that really made it such a rewarding experience. And from this, just to sum up very briefly some of the opportunities that we thought might be transferable into the Indonesian context, would be various teaching with technology offerings. So looking at hybrid, how to teach remotely, how to teach online, and really polishing up the skills that we've all learned during the pandemic. Of course, more emphasis in the world, the growth of CLIL and EME, moving on, training the trainer and giving the tools back to the teachers to lead that and feed that into the communities of practice that exist, and setting up the communities of practice in other areas for teachers, giving them the tools to work and develop together without the presence of the core organisation. English language top-up courses we've found are really fundamental across the world, and there's always a place for this. And also fully asynchronous courses to run alongside synchronous courses or subscribe to in isolation. So these are just some of the opportunities that we think are there and we think could be offered by the UK market, and also particularly at Wimbledon School of English. So I believe that's me within my time. Thank you all for listening. My email is at the bottom of the slides there, and looking forward to the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. Perfect timing. Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard the sharing of what ELT providers in the UK have been doing in terms of teachers' professional development. Now we come to the last speaker of this session, and it's my pleasure to welcome Gumawang Jati. Pak Jati is the president of ITAL, and he's also a lecturer at Bandung Institute of Technology. Pak Jati, since you are a single fighter to present the Indonesian situation of teacher professional development, I give you 15 minutes, Pak Jati. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Francis. Hi, everyone. After listening to UK providers, that is my time now to share the TPD, what's happened in Indonesia. So I'm going to concentrate on the innovation in teacher professional development in Indonesia only. I'm going to mention some companies later on and also the government. And I'm going to introduce as well what ITEL has been doing up to this moment. Yeah. Okay. Now, this is a TPD that's yesterday mentioned by Pak Iwan from the Ministry of Education. Starting from 2010 up to the present, they moved from face-to-face into a blended and online. And it's top-down, and it can reach remote areas. So they got all of the effort then to put that online. Now everything is online because of the pandemic. There's a Guru Belajar and Berbagi Kemendikbud.go.id. So if you click here, then they will be taken to a website where the teacher can learn from each other, and also the teacher can share a lot of things. And it's quite popular. But again, the TPD here, it's not for language only, but it's a TPD in general for every subject. Yeah. So if we go to the website, then you'll go to teacher section and you can click learn, or you can click share. If you have something to share, you click share. So this is from teacher to teacher. I think it's a good movement. What's happening right now for TPD in Indonesia. So the innovation side, it's blended TPD. Now it's become online fully, self-study TPD, and from teachers also to teachers. Yeah. So if you are teachers in Indonesia, you can have a look at that. And if you have a lot of ideas, you can share that. For the UK participants, this is what's happening right now. Yeah. Other than that, because we are a big country, of course, then we need community and also private sectors involving in TPD. I'm going to mention two so far that's quite big and influential in Indonesia. It's called Guru Cikal. This is a TPD for teachers. Again, it's all subject, not necessarily English. It's a learning teachers community, and it's happening in Java Island mostly. Yeah, so they're using a lot of technology and social media to reach the teachers. Yeah, and it's open for donation. It's open for professional or companies to join this movement, and then they will create a TPD for teachers and that. Yeah, so if you click here, that will give you information on how to join and how to participate in this movement. Yeah, this in Bahasa Indonesia. This is a teacher community, and then for TPD, for a quality of delivery, then also provide beasiswa to learn. Yeah, scholarships for teachers. Yeah, that's what happened. The movement. Another movement that's I know and I'm aware of. I give a speech sometime in this movement as well. It's HAFEX. HAFEX is TPD for teachers. Again, it's for all subject, for all level. It's started with in-house training, and it's happening in Kalimantan. It's in Borneo. Now they have an office in Jakarta and also Yogyakarta. So they started with in-house training and class training. Then they move online. Yeah. They have the platform. The platform, they planning to have a platform for lecturers. So if you are lecturers, you can study there, and also students and teachers. But the platform for teachers and students still under construction. So if you click the teachers here, then the teacher can register and they can learn online. And the subject is there. And some of the courses here are free if you're math teachers or whatever. If you're an English teacher, maybe you will find some of these courses useful for you. Yeah, have a look at that. Some are free, some are very cheap. If you look at, this is the 32 hours, meeting hours, that's only 15,000. So it's around maybe £1 or £2. So it's very cheap. Everything is online. Yeah. So that's the moment. Yeah. So the trend of innovation is everything is going online. There is a platform. Try to involve teachers in developing their own need and sharing. Yeah. Okay, now let's move on to the MKMP. Ibu Ice mentioned about the Musyawarah Guru Mata Pelajaran. There's a forum for teachers, by teachers. It's a mandatory. It's facilitated them to improve the teaching practice. It's not, it's in every subject. So the innovation here is they can create their own program. So it's not top down. It's from the bottom, and then they can share a lot of things among them. They can invite experts, that they can organize seminars, and they organize a lot of webinars. That's what I'm aware of. Yeah. So there are a lot of MKMP for English teachers in Indonesia. It must be 1,000 of MKMP. Yeah. ITEL has helped MKMP as well, giving training on that. Yeah. Okay. So this MKMP is it's a movement that empower the TPD ground to earth. Yeah. And they need this group. Actually, they need a lot of help and consultation and so on. Okay. Let's move on to ITEL. ITEL is Indonesia Technology Enhanced Language Learning Association. So it's concentrating on language learning. Only English? No, every language. So we have mostly still at the moment is still English. This association is the board member, a group of language lecturers, and they are all technology enthusiasts. Because this is association, so it's a non-profit organization, and we have to have a partner to run our business and to run training and so on. This is our dream, to become an effective professional association in developing technology-based language learning. So it's all about technology and language learning. This is what we did before the pandemic. We did a lot of trainings, low tech, high tech. We have been invited by a lot of MKMP. We work with the British Council a lot, giving training from rural area to in big cities. And we also invited by education foundations to run trainings for them. So we are a group of people and stressing on how to use technology in learning language. So if you look at here in Borneo, for instance, there is no internet connection. Of course, that they got laptop, then we embed some program so that they can use it in the classroom. Yeah, and the beginning of the pandemic, we were in Bali, actually, with the British Council, and that was memorable. We all almost have to stay there. That was the first day or the last flight that we have to catch to go back home, actually, from the island. This is the photo taken there. We are still happy, but we are a little bit nervous because when we got into the room, then they have to check our temperature, and we did not know what's the virus like, and so on and so on. So it's a bit panicking. And then we, after the training, we flew back to Bandung in Jakarta, and that was okay. Okay, anyway, so that was face-to-face, and we got a lot of track records on that. During the pandemic, we moved that on online. Like we run a workshop. Here is a run workshop, a TPD for Indonesia Air Force English teachers. Yeah, we run this together with the British Council. Yeah. That's a TPD for teachers. Now we also working with students. So we're training pre-service teachers, like from Universitas Ibnu Khaldun, that's in Bogor. We run the TPD for pre-service teachers face-to-face. It's been running for 4 years. Then we moved that online during the pandemic. Then we have Universitas Jember, for instance, that's teachers to be, English teachers to be. Then we have Lambung Mangkurat and also Muhammadiyah in Jakarta online. So after the pandemic happened, then we move everything online like other people, because it's not allowed to run a training face-to-face. Yeah. Okay, that's what we did actually on teacher and pre-service teachers. Now, webinar. We run a lot of webinar just right after the first COVID breakout. We ran our first webinar. It was in the 13th of April. because of the demand, and we are aware that the teachers need a lot of help. Everything is suddenly, you are not allowed to go to school, everything should be online and so on. So it's a lot of confusion happen, and people are waiting for the regulation, and there was a little bit late of the regulation and so on, direction and so on. So we got the initiative to run a webinar, and then I talked to Pak Kon from the British Council, how if we do it together and so on. So we ran 12 webinars in a week, so it's almost every day we run that. It's based on what the teachers need, so it's very practical so that they can survive in front of the class. If you need the recording, it's still there. Yeah, and it's reaching up to 1,000 participants in that webinar. Yeah, the demand was very high, and the teachers need more, and contact us so that we ran another webinar. That was 7 webinars starting in June until the 8th. So it's again, it's a marathon webinar with some speakers from British and also from mostly from ITEL. Yeah, like the first webinar series, there are 4 British Council speakers. I think it's Colm and Joe Dale from the UK. Yeah, and other workshop for schools, we also run that. Yeah, because everything should be online. After that, then we run a workshop with the British Council as well for SMK vocational schools. And we are planning to run another 10 webinar starting next month, 14th of October, 28th of October, so like twice a month. And we're planning to run around 10 series. So it's going to be 10 speakers from the UK and 10 speakers from Indonesia. Yeah. Hopefully we can do that nicely, because everyone is familiar with online, but we're going to look at more deeper practice, what we can learn and how we can improve that. Okay, other than webinar and also training, we also have a conference. We started our conference in 1960. That's Technology Enhanced Language Learning, Teaching and Researching. That moment, somebody from UK, it's Nick Peachy, came to our first webinar. That's when ITEL was established, actually. If you need the proceedings, then you can click here. Later on, you can get my slide. I will give you the link later in the chat box, or somebody maybe can help me. Yeah. 2018, the team is Call and More. It's about thinking process. And if you want the proceeding, you click here. The last one, just before the pandemic breakout, 2020, we ran a seminar in Bogor in Universitas Ibnu Khaldun. We start questioning, can technology really enhance language learning? So we look at the real practices. We talk about that. Again, it's from teachers and practitioners on that. 2022, we're going to have another face-to-face conference. If you need the registration, you can click here later on. That's the theme will be then, now, and future directions. Yeah. So we're going to look at AI. We're going to look at other new technology, what we can do for language learning. So looking forward to joining with us later. That's going to be in July. Hopefully everything is okay, so that we can meet and discuss things there. Yeah. Another things that we did is we wrote simple books based on our experience giving training teachers. Not all of us, but some of us. It's published in July this year. It's been downloaded 760. And if you need a book, then you can click here. Then you can get the book that's in the Google Play. It's free. Yeah, because we are a non-profit organization as well. So we try to do things with partners and for teachers. Yeah. The last one of my slide is online course. We did a pilot project with Simulec, that's Ministry of Education in the regions. So we pilot a project on digital comics for engaging online learning course. That's a 5-week course. It's not MOOC, it's a guided open on the course. Around 90% is working on asynchronous. Then like around 10% it will be guided. Yeah. So the teachers participate in this pilot project is from Indonesia, from Malaysia, and also from Thailand. Yeah. Thank you very much. If you need my slide, you can go to bit.ly/bc, stand for British Council, -ITEL. Then you can get all my slides and also the links that I provided there. Yeah. Thank you very much. Back to you, Francis. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pak Jati. So I can see that people are sharing information as well about ITEL YouTube channel in the chat box. Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard from all the presenters today, and it's been a really informative and inspiring series of talks. However, I'm afraid we do not have time for a long panel discussion today. I would like to bring our panelists, if they can be spotlighted, start the video. We won't have a long panel discussion, but there is time for one question which I would like to ask our speakers. And don't worry, later today, we will share a booklet with the contact details of all of the schools and speakers today. And I know they will be very happy to respond to any questions you might have. So, hello, speakers. Nice to see you on gallery view here. Okay, so there are many English teachers joining us today from across Indonesia. And so if I can ask you in 1 minute, what top tip would you have for teachers who want to develop their teaching skills? Let's start from Charlotte. You're nodding.
Sure. I think the best thing to do is find another teacher to work with, because everybody needs a buddy, either in your school or somebody that's a friend, and together decide one small area that you want to focus on. Research it with these amazing resources that you've got, or the British Council, and then both of you try something in your class, compare your results, and also ask your students what they think of this, because your students will give you great feedback on what they think of the activity you're teaching, and they will give you great feedback on how they feel about their learning. I think that's my top tip for teachers.
Nice. Teaching buddy, yeah, find a partner. All right. So how about you, Mike? In 1 minute, what top tip would you give?
So I think, well, one great habit that you can develop is that of reflection. So if you're reading an article, attending a webinar or an event like today, just get into that habit of asking yourself what you've learned, how it can change your own practice, and then actually write it down. I even have a reflective book to do that in, but the tool doesn't matter. I think the habit is just get into that habit of recording that learning and reflecting on it. So yeah, take time to reflect. That's my tip.
Take time to reflect. And how about you, Fiona?
Yeah, I completely agree with both Mike and Charlotte. I'm such a big fan of reflective practice in my life and my professional life. I would say identify a particular area that you'd like to develop, something that you're interested in, maybe based on feedback from your students, from your reflection, from an observation that you've done on yourself. Set yourself, I think I would go a step further and say, set yourself a realistic time-bound goal.
Okay.
Write it down, tell people so that you're tied to it, but break that goal down into little bite-sized chunks. And don't be hard on yourself, be kind to yourself and praise yourself at the end of every little bite. If you don't get to your goal, if you don't meet your time, don't be hard on yourself, just keep going, keep praising yourself, get feedback from your students, from your peers, and then repeat. And it keeps moving you forward, and it really makes you feel good. It's a real sense of achievement to get through every little step and something that you're interested in. It's not something that needs to be an area that you think you're failing in. It can be an area that you really want to grow in, and also do your research. Sorry, I love professional development for also, but do your research, because there's a lot of good stuff out there. And we mentioned communities of practice. If you don't have access to something like this formally, set one up. Just turn it into a coffee evening with some of your peers, some of your friends, but give it a focus and turn it into something that will benefit you. And British Council is a wonderful resource.
Wonderful tips. I like that. And I like the be kind to yourself. Pak Jati, how about you?
I think it's good for us, similar, that we have to work with our students, listen to the students, talk to the students, and use the virtual space. Talking to young people, to this next generation, we use that they use a lot of virtual space. So talk about games and so on, and then do reflection. By the way, the students, it's our partner in learning. Yeah, I think that's Frances.
Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so sad that we don't really have a lot of time, and I'm sure teachers would like to get to know more about this teacher professional development. But thank you so much, Pak Jati, Mike, Fiona, Charlotte. We're missing Silvana. She's not on the list anymore. That concludes the first session of today. So thank you for your wonderful sharings. I'm sure everyone learns a lot. And it's nice to be able to get to know what each other's doing in the UK and also in the Indonesia. Before we continue to the next session, I would like to invite the attendees to just give your clap hands, just thank the speakers of the first session. Thank you. People are saying clap, clap, clap. Thank you, great presenters. Okay, so now we're going to go to the second session, but we're going to have a break. We don't really have a lot of time because we're running out of time for the first session, but we have a special treat for you. ITEL has a special treat for you. Last year, at the beginning of the pandemic, when teachers were suddenly forced to shift to online teaching, and there were moments when teachers, I know I did, felt overwhelmed. If you remember that moment, now during that moment, one of ITEL board members collaborated in a song dedicated to teachers. And I think it goes along with what Fiona said earlier, be kind to yourself. If you cannot meet your goal. This song is for teachers. When you cannot do what you do, then you do what you can. So ladies and gentlemen, to start your 5-minute breaks, please welcome Toar Sumakul and John Bon Jovi.
Tonight they're shutting down the borders and they boarded up the school. Small towns are rolling up their sidewalks, one last paycheck coming through. I know you're feeling kinda nervous, but all a little bit confused. Nothing's the same, this ain't a game, we gotta make it through. When you can't do what you do what you can. This ain't my prayer, it's just a thought I'm wanting to send. Round here we bend but don't break, down here we all understand. When you can't do what you do what you can. Here's your verse.
Though the kids can go to school, learning at home is also cool. Though they miss their friends so bad, they still play games with mom and dad. Teachers struggling with technology, can't find the right methodology. Just work as one, nobody's gone. Teaching can still be fun.
When you can't do what you do what you can. This ain't my prayer, it's just a thought I'm wanting to send. Round here we bend but don't break, down here we all understand. You can't do what you do what you can. You can't do what you do what you can. You can't do what you do what you can.
Can't do what you do, just do what you can.
Look, that was great. We wrote this song together. Remember to post your verse using hashtag #DoWhatYouCan.